We all thought that Elon Musk was a businessman like Bill Gates. But in reality, Musk is a scientist who has conquered the business world. He is also the only inventor among the successful figures we know, such as Warren Buffett, Li Ka-shing, Jack Ma, and Bill Gates. They are visionary businessmen who play with capital and rarely participate in the production teams of their companies. But Musk is not just the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla, he is also the chief engineer of both companies. He works over 12 hours a day, spending 80% of his time on engineering and design, rather than on marketing and social media. Musk has a passionate love for physics, and he even named his youngest son in a unique way, which is difficult to pronounce. Its correct pronunciation is
X, Ash, A12,
where X represents an unknown variable and Ash is the AI elf language. He believes that learning and physics are the only hope to save humanity, and he has placed this hope in his son. Now, I will share with you how Musk, through his strong learning ability and thinking process, went from being a coder to creating rockets that are more impressive than NASA's and is now being regarded as the closest to a god by many people. First, he emphasizes lifelong learning. Musk has two methods of lifelong learning. The first one is reading a massive number of books. He once said, "Books were my teachers, my parents raised me." Musk, who is obsessed with reading, can finish 60 books in a month. He learns things very quickly, often spending 10 hours a day on reading and even completing and digesting knowledge from 2 different types of books in a single day. His reading volume far exceeds that of his peers. Musk's brother, Kimball Musk, recalled that since his teenage years, Elon Musk would read 2 books from different disciplines every day. This means that if an average person can finish reading a book in a month, Musk's reading speed is 60 times faster than that of an average person. Musk also often complained to librarians about not purchasing enough books. His favorite book is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which taught him that it is more difficult to ask the right questions than to answer them because once you can do that, everything else becomes easier. Musk himself admits that maintaining a reading habit since childhood has given him the confidence for all his crazy ideas. In an era when many entrepreneurs choose to drop out of school, Musk is the only one who did not drop out and holds bachelor's and master's degrees in physics and economics. The second learning method of Musk is immersing himself in environments filled with talented people. Before creating Tesla, did Musk know how to build electric cars? No, he didn't. Did Musk know how to manufacture rockets before creating SpaceX? No, he didn't. And not just him, nobody in the world knew it except for NASA. The books didn't mention this knowledge either. So, how did he do it? In order to create SpaceX, Musk moved from Silicon Valley to Los Angeles. He recruited NASA scientists as advisors for SpaceX. I once watched an interview where they talked about how Musk usually conducts interviews. He would have technical discussions with experts from different departments working on rockets. An employee said that Musk would keep asking questions until he understood 90% of what you knew. By the time you realized that he was learning from you, he had already learned it. This shaped him into an expert with knowledge beyond most people's understanding. He has always worked with the best people, and every executive working at Tesla and SpaceX not only has expertise in a certain field but also understands the usage of each component and basic engineering knowledge. This is also why Musk started promoting the idea of Clubhouse, because it allows us to immerse ourselves in conversations with entrepreneurs and experts in the most cost-effective way and learn from them. The third principle is the first principles thinking. When Musk was young, he was afraid of the dark. But he realized that darkness is just the absence of photons in the visible wavelength, so he thought it was silly to be afraid of something without light. This is how he explained darkness to himself as a child, using a scientific approach. This shows his logical thinking of breaking down big problems into smaller ones that can be solved with physics. It is the thinking from first principles that Musk highly advocates. First principles thinking means looking at the world from a physics perspective, peeling back the layers of appearances to see the essence underneath, and then building up from the essence layer by layer. However, we often use comparative thinking to solve problems. We tend to compare and imitate what others have done or are doing. This approach only leads to small improvements and variations. There is a classic example during Tesla's development when Musk encountered the problem of expensive battery packs. Insiders said that the current battery packs were really expensive, and the prices would not decrease in the future because they had always been that expensive. Under the influence of this thinking, there was no room for improvement or cost reduction in the battery packs. At that time, the cost of battery packs was $600 per kilowatt hour. However, by starting from first principles, Musk studied and analyzed the battery packs and realized that they were made up of carbon, nickel, aluminum, polymers for separation, and a metal casing. Then he thought, what if he purchased these raw materials from the London Metal Exchange and had his team assemble them into battery packs for electric cars? This approach significantly reduced the cost of battery packs from $600 per kilowatt-hour to $80 per kilowatt-hour. This is what Musk calls the first principles thinking, a thinking model that allows him to solve seemingly unsolvable problems and achieve disruptive innovations in fields like electric cars, aerospace, clean energy, and more. The fourth principle is cross-disciplinary learning. Musk rejects the notion of specialized learning and instead advocates for cross-disciplinary learning. In our traditional education, we are taught that if we want to become top talents, we must focus on one field. However, Musk believes this is a mistake. He thinks that if he had only studied the automotive industry, he would never have come up with ideas like solar energy or rocket launches. Cross-disciplinary learning provides us with the opportunity to connect various possibilities and ideas. Today, Musk's expertise spans across fields such as rockets dynamics, engineering, biomimetics, artificial intelligence, and more. He can be considered a polymath who applies this knowledge from theory to practice. During his high school years, Musk developed a strong interest in rockets. He studied rocket-related knowledge from textbooks. Later, Musk decided to build a rocket model by himself and even brought it to school for display. It's worth noting that this rocket model could be ignited and launched. Musk's action caused quite a sensation at school, and everyone regarded him as a scientific prodigy. In a television program, the host asked Musk if he could successfully launch rockets just by reading books. Musk replied affirmatively, saying that in addition to reading, one must also conduct numerous experiments. The fifth ability is the capacity for transfer learning. Since childhood, Musk's reading range has encompassed science fiction, philosophy, religion, programming, as well as biographies of scientists, engineers, and entrepreneurs. As he grew older, his reading and professional interests expanded to include physics, engineering, product design, business, technology, and energy. This thirst for knowledge led him to explore various disciplines that may not be taught in school. Musk possesses a unique and often overlooked learning method, the ability to transfer knowledge. Transfer learning involves applying what we have learned in one context to another context. It could be taking the core knowledge acquired in school or from books and applying it to the real world. It could also involve applying knowledge gained in one industry to another. This is what sets Musk apart, and he has a unique two-step process to facilitate this transfer learning. First, Musk structures knowledge into fundamental principles and mental models, which aligns with the mentioned first principles. Research indicates that transforming knowledge into deeper abstract mental models is beneficial for transfer learning. There is a method that aids people in gaining intuitive understanding of potential mental models, and it's called the method of comparison. Let's say you want to understand the letter A and the underlying principles that make it an A. You can approach it in two ways, Method 1, by examining different variations of A, and Method 2, by looking at a large number of identical A's. Which method do you think would be better? The answer is clearly Method 1. Each distinct variation of A in Method 1 allows us to delve deeper into understanding the similarities and differences between them, whereas Method 2 doesn't provide any insights. When we learn something, observing a wide range of different examples enables our intuition to identify the core elements and even create unique combinations. In our daily lives, this means that when we venture into a new field, we shouldn't rely solely on one method or the so-called best practices. We should explore various methods, deconstruct each of them, and then compare and contrast them. This process helps us discover their fundamental principles. Next, the second step involves Musk reconstructing the fundamental principles of a new domain. He takes the principles he has learned in artificial intelligence, technology, physics, and engineering and reconstructs them into an independent domain, which has contributed to building his massive and disruptive business empire. Musk's achievements are not the result of magic, it is simply the correct learning process. At the deepest level, what we can learn from Musk's story is that we should not settle for specialization as the only or best path to career success and influence. We can learn from Musk's approach to learning and thinking, which includes 1. Reading a vast number of books. 2. Immersing oneself in environments filled with talented people. 3. Adopting first principles thinking and breaking down problems into smaller components. 4. Engaging in cross-disciplinary learning. 5. Developing transfer learning abilities. Musk is unique, but his abilities are not miraculous. Although it is undeniable that he is a genius, if he didn't have the persistence and belief in his own goals, he wouldn't have achieved what he has today. After his third failed rocket launch, he was on the verge of bankruptcy. A billionaire had fallen to the point of needing to borrow money from friends to get by. Therefore, Musk becoming a legend is not accidental but inevitable. Don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.